Good morning. I'm Amy. Happy very early morning this morning, which can make mornings a whole lot harder. So I've decided I wanted to start up a channel my daughter and I have talked about for quite some time about kind of our life struggles with having a child with Asperger's on the autism spectrum. When she was diagnosed, it was strictly Asperger's and sensory processing disorder, and now they've bundled all that up into just one autism spectrum disorder. So you'll hear both referenced a lot because since when she was diagnosed, her diagnosis was given the separate name of what they now reference. So I just dropped her off at high school. She's in 9th grade this year, be 15 in May, and starting her driving part of driver's ed. Talk about scary when you have had your whole entire time with her since she was almost 4. Your time has been dedicated to keeping her safe and learning how to keep herself safe, and the sensory issues and especially with the sounds and lights and all those kinds of things. Trying to get her to be aware of her surroundings and not so secluded, and things that when she gets ready to start driving, you're thinking, oh my goodness, she's at the age, but with her my daughter having Asperger's and sensory processing, like I said, there's many different things on the spectrum, and I am aware of many of these. I've had friends and others in support groups that have children that are on different areas of the spectrum, such as nonverbal. My daughter is verbal, sometimes too verbal, but socially she is on a much different level than a normal 14-year-old. And you know, it's hard for parents that if you're dealing with this, you may have people not understand that your child has a true disability, and that it is hard for them to go on with everyday life without these hurdles that they're continuously jumping. The sounds of high school being overwhelming to a regular student already, to someone with Asperger's and sensory processing disorder walking in to the high school, they are hearing the pins drop, the locker slam, the teachers holler, the bells ring, everything in an amplified state because they are super sensitive. I almost sometimes like to think of it as someone who considers themselves an empath and picking up on others' feelings. They're picking up on others' sounds. And sometimes you just wonder if they have, hearing of I don't know what level. She hears everything. And when she was younger, she'd walk around with her hands over her ears, a lot of times upside down, which I said was a clue that something's up. And it's harder for them to diagnose in girls, which I didn't know, but she was diagnosed luckily very young, at 4. But she was already in some therapy. I was going through a divorce, I'll be honest, with her dad, and thought maybe at first she was just kind of showing out. Typical expected behavior for that age, going through a traumatic event. Then it got worse, and I thought my child was possessed. I was starting to look up and say, is possession real? Because I didn't know really how I felt about that. But after 8 hours of screaming, knocking entire bookshelves with TVs on them, and this was years ago when, 14, 15 years ago, when the TVs weren't these slimline little TVs. Big TVs coming flying off a dresser at her because she dumped the whole dresser over and flipped her twin bed over and ripped all the sheets off and stripped her clothes off and screaming in the floor, picking her skin off. And I'll never forget one time I popped her little booty because, back in that time, spanking was okay, and she was acting just out of control, and I said, comforting her, trying to see what's upsetting her is not working, so maybe I'm going to have to go to the other side and play, I don't want to call it mean mama, but it made me feel mean, and it's probably the only time she's probably ever been popped in her life. And I don't even want to call it spanking because, spankings to me, I think of when I grew up getting bent over with a belt or a paddle by my parents and spanked. This was a, honey, this is not acceptable behavior, pop, but enough to where it stung my hand, and I felt bad, and I go and cry, and she stops and she looks up at me. And she says, "Don't you ever spank me." And starts patting her, rubbing her leg like she's just rubbing it off. And she had this blank stare. And I was like, okay, the devil's in the kid. Something's in my kid. Help. And so I started videoing her fits that could last 6 to 8 hours of nonstop screaming, tears. She wouldn't stop and fall asleep. Sometimes it'd be 6 hours, and then all of a sudden she'd just hop up and go, "Mama, I'm hungry. Can I have a Pop-Tart?" And you're going, whoa, dude, like 6 hours of screaming, and I've been sitting outside your door listening to make sure you didn't hurt yourself like I was instructed by your therapist, crying with my camera to my older time cell phone. I had a razor flip propped up in her doorway to where she couldn't see it, but videotaping her fit because I was told by her therapist just to leave her be and don't respond, in case it was trying to get attention. But 6 hours was a lot to try to get attention. Then when I took these videos in to her therapist, who was wonderful and she's seen for years, said, "Amy, I think that I need to think about some things differently. I don't think that I realized the extent of what you were telling me with fits was this degree." And I'm going, yeah, really. And then Ariana had a fit in her office one day. Then a few weeks later, at the time we were getting WIC, Women, Infants, Children, if you're not familiar with that, where you go and every 3 months they check your child's blood, and if you're income eligible, they give you some vouchers to get like fresh vegetables, bread, milk, cheese, appropriate healthy items for your child to help. And someone had set us up for it. And of course it was at the social services office. And I take her in for her appointment, and we had to wait a really long time because it's busy as all get out, always. And my child starts pitching a fit. And this lady comes out who works for a Department of Social Services and says, "Somebody needs to spank that child's ass." was her words. And at the time, I just heard her as the lady went behind me with a very distinct voice I could still pick out. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, she's autistic and she's in sensory overload. We've been here a really long time past our appointment. Next thing I know, they go to call her name. I turn around and it's that lady. That was our caseworker for the day to call us back over our vouchers. Well, Ariana, once in sensory overload, it takes a while to get out. We go into her office. She turns the lady's desk over, starts dumping everything out because their strength becomes like Hercules. I'm trying to hold her. She's scratching me. For me being small, I was overpowered by her strength, and she was 4, and I couldn't hardly hold her. And the next day after these events, my arms would be so sore like I'd been to the gym. And I actually did try to go to the gym, and at that time was very physically fit. And that lady doesn't believe me that there's something actually medically wrong with my child. So therefore, she contacts they won't let me leave. I'm trying to get my child in the car. They stood there with her and had me pull my car up to the front so I could safely get her in. Obviously still car seat age. She's arching her back and sticking her fanny in the air, and I can't even hardly push to get her rear end into the seat to latch her into the car seat. Even though she was over the weight limit to have to be in a smaller seat, she was still in a 4-point harness system so that she could not unbuckle while I was driving to keep her safe. So, in that event, they called her therapist, her psychiatrist, and her psychologist to confirm that I wasn't lying, that something truly medically was wrong with my child, and that I was not abusing her, and that's why she was acting out and didn't want to go on with me. She even grabbed a big gulp out of my SUV at that time from a gas station. I had stopped and gotten me a big, huge Dr. Pepper. And before I got her in her car seat, she had grabbed it, and I had tried to see if she wanted a sip of soda to try to anything. It was like, just please get in your car. You're embarrassing Mama, because at this point, hours at DSS Social Services is like, come on, honey, please, you know. And when I wanted to just hide under the car, she takes that 64-ounce big gulp drink that doesn't have a lid on it and turns it and dumps it on my head while I'm trying to buckle her in a 4-point harness car seat. So obviously my head was right there. And I was just in tears. Speechless. Saying, what did I do wrong? How does my child have something going on? How do I fix it? Because as a mom, first thing you think is, how can I fix this for my child? And I learned very quickly that, one, you're not meant to fix it. You were blessed with your child, whatever hurdles they have, for a reason. And you will learn lessons along with them of greater value than you will ever learn in a classroom. So remember that all of my tips, tricks, experiences are shared to let you know, one, you're not alone. it takes a while to get a diagnosis, and it's crazy, insane waiting period. It makes you just feel helpless. But there are avenues, there are resources. And I learned that, yes, there's something wrong with my daughter, but no, there's not. I wouldn't have it any other way now. She'll be 15 in May. She is actually making straight A's in high school. Blows my mind. Last few years have been F's. It's been hard. And lots of years of therapy. Medications. She still sees psychiatrists, etc. We're getting there. Every day. And them knowing that you accept them for who they are and that they are special no matter what is important. So I tell you this morning, hug your little munchkin or big munchkin. Mine, when I drop her off at 9th grade, every morning to this day, she tells me, "I love you, Mommy," and she always kisses my cheek and lets me kiss her cheek. Up until last year, she still lip kissed me, but this year we decided there's a lot of germs, and not that anything's wrong with a mama kissing their daughter on the lips, and she still will some. But I still get a kiss and "I love you, Mom" every morning. And she's in high school. Who gets that? I can tell you, sharing with friends, not many. Don't let your kids down, and don't feel like they're letting you down, and don't feel like you've caused anything. There's still a lot of unknown behind autism spectrum disorder. Causes. People say immunizations cause autism. My child was vaccinated. Would I take back vaccinating her to change if I could know now? If somebody told me 100% vaccinations caused your child to have these problems, would I go back and not vaccinate her? No. I work in the medical field, and she's not physically hurting with her disability. Emotionally a lot, yeah. What normal person doesn't hurt emotionally too? Can I blame my depression over the years of struggling with all this on my shots? No. Would I want her to have measles, mumps, rubella? Do I want to not give her a flu shot so she can have the flu for 3 weeks? No, people die from that. She's not dying from what she has. And she's a happy girl. And we have an open line of communication. Yes, she takes depression medication. We tried going off for a while of medications. It didn't work. She actually requested from her psychiatrist to go back on them, and was at an age a psychiatrist listened to her input and agreed, and asked if I was okay with it. And I said, if she says she's depressed and she feels like the other medicine made her feel like a zombie, and that's why she didn't like it and quit taking it, and it was hiding her medicine, but she wants to go back on something because she feels like she's unhappy inside and she's vocalizing that, by all means, I'm not going to tell you no. But I'm not going to risk her life not immunizing her. People say, well, the flu's not that bad. I work across from the hospital who has the whole place locked down right now because of high flu activity. deaths of the flu. When you don't immunize, you're not only compromising the individual getting the shot's health. Of course, it naturally, first line is for them, their protection. Second line is so they don't get sick, so that they don't get others sick. And it's a trickle effect. And so that's my beans on my choices on immunizations. Now, am I going to judge you if you choose not to immunize your child? No. You're a parent. You have your reasons. And even though I have my strong feelings against vaccines, am I going to pick it outside of school and say, I don't think that children that hadn't had their vaccines should get the same rights? It's not the kids' fault, for one. They didn't get to consent. But I ultimately think that vaccines save lives. So, and I wouldn't take anything she has going on for trade if they said she'd be normal. This is our normal. And I love her just the way she is. I'm off to work for a little while today. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'm hoping that I will continue this channel. This is just kind of a base start, and feel free to comment and list some things that you'd like to hear about, and I'll be happy to cover those topics. Sorry I look terrible this morning. I'm working in the medical field. I work in urology. Is a messy job sometimes, and we don't wear our hair down. And this morning was early, and I was giving her a Valentine's gift, so I kind of threw myself together, and my stepchild has strep throat, and so it was a throw yourself together, get out of the house morning for me this morning, and my white hair is even showing. So I am looking forward to hoping that this channel will succeed and become liked by many. So please share with me topics, and I promise you that my daughter is going to start helping me. She's very artistic. Do some special effects and teaching me YouTube, because I'm not 35 and I'm not a YouTube savvy person, but I've watched many videos that I plan to also share links with you on autism and sensory processing disorder and autism spectrum. And by all means, I am not an expert. I'm sharing this as a parent, and sometimes some of the best advice is coming from people who didn't learn it at school but are living it every day. That's their life. That's their normal. That's your child, your love, your passion, your joy. You waited forever to hold and to do, had all these plans, and then the wrench got thrown in. And you thought, what am I going to do? And then you realize one day, I can still do those things with adjustments. Like, I recently took my daughter to a baseball game, this past, I guess it was end of summer, September. My work went as a group. She got into sensory overload, but I went to the EMT stand and I said, do y'all have earplugs? I forgot to bring mine. And my daughter is autistic, and she's in sensory overload, and I really wanted her to try to stay because they were having fireworks that night. And apparently this ball field had the best. And I said, but she's so upset, and I don't want to have to leave with her, and if you have some, it could save her night. They handed me a couple packs and said, we always have them, sweetheart. And told my daughter, said, We always have them. Other people have to wear them too, because it's really loud in here. And she got to watch the best fireworks ever. Priceless. Priceless on those EMT people who, when in my desperation, pulled out a, here you go, Mom. That away, Mom. We got you, Mom. We understand. And we don't want her to have to leave either, to experience different fun things in life. We're going on a plane this year on vacation for the first time. She's never been on a plane. Taking both kids. Neither one of them has. Don't know how she's going to act, but I learned that you can call 2 days before your flight, and TSA has a apparent special security procedure for someone with disabilities that you're afraid that sensory overload might affect them going through the TSA checkpoint. So I've read all about that. You can find it on the TSA website. Apparently they will take she and I through a separate line. I believe that my other half and his boy that's going with us will have to still go through the regular checkpoint, but she and I can go through a separate checkpoint so that she does not get sensory overload, and with someone who understands that if they need to search her for any reason, because they still could have to search her. I mean, especially because, they don't understand getting on a plane, and she might have something in her pocket she shouldn't have taken on a plane unintentionally. A metal piece of bobby pin in her pocket that she didn't realize is metal and gonna show up and set the metal detector off. No kid understands that. But if they had to pat her down, touch to her is not okay. Unless you're mommy. And you can hug all you want. But otherwise, she has her bubble. So we're going to try that out, and I plan on also sharing as we go through that. And they might let me videotape bits and pieces of it, I don't know, and share with you guys. So please share thoughts, comments. This was very long and unplanned video, but I want to get this started and going and try to post videos daily, sometimes multiple, get this channel going, answer questions, be a support group. Moms, dads, couple parents, single mom, single dad, if you have a boy, if you have a girl, I don't care. It's about pulling together and reaching out and listening to what worked for me might not work for you. But you might not have been told to try that way. And that way might work. And if you go through what I went through, which I'm sure you probably are, because it's a long process, you're willing to try anything as long as it doesn't hurt your child. And I'm not going to tell you go get them on medicine. I'm not going to tell you to go do something crazy. I'm just going to tell you some things I've learned. Little tips, tricks, knowledge I've learned through her going through her therapy, research that I have personally done myself, the testing process that we went through, things to look for in testing centers, how to get involved in trying to get tested, etc., etc., etc. List what topics and questions you have, and I will do my best to address them. And if I don't know, I'll be honest with you, and I'll tell you I don't know, but I will try to find a resource to direct you to that can help you with an answer, because there's lots of national hotlines that can help you. So I look forward to meeting with you again, and in the meantime, try looking up on YouTube. There are some videos, and I'll try to share the link on here in a little bit. I will try to find that link. I have them in my saved videos, obviously. life in the day with Asperger's, I think was the key word of how I found it, but a therapist told me many years ago, you wear headphones for this video, you're to set it to one volume and try to make it through the whole video without adjusting the volume and see if you feel sensory overload. It will blow your mind to hear how they're hearing their everyday life and how they're having to learn to cope with that. So I urge you to do that. Give me feedback. When my boyfriend and I 3 years ago first started dating, I had him listen to it because he didn't understand how to deal with her. Thought she was a rebellious teenager. And when he said take the trash out and she didn't, no, it was because you told her 4 things to do and she couldn't process all 4. And how you ask her is different than how you'd ask someone else. So listen to that video, give me feedback, and I'll share the link, and look forward to talking to you guys later on today or tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Happy Valentine's Day.